right. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Groton Committee of the Whole for Monday, February 24th, 2025. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Depot, Councilor Piazza, Councilor Talley, and Councilor Sheffield are present.
Okay, thank you. All right, new business. First one is Economic Development Heat Smart Groton presentation with GU Manager Bill Reese. So Sierra and Bill. And this is informing.
We are good to go. So good evening, councilors. You guys all know me. I'm Sierra Patrick, and this is Bill Reeves. Tonight we're going to be giving you a highlight on the Heat Smart Groton program that we have going on this year. I'll allow Bill to go over some of the details, and then I'll sum up with some of the resources that we have for you guys to hand out, as well as showing you guys a few things on the website. Bill, why don't you take it over?
Okay. All right. So what we came to talk about today was basically Heat Smart 101 and this upcoming meeting for Insulation 101. It is part 2 of basically a 3-phase approach that we are working with the town of Groton, the city of Groton, and a company called, or a organization called People's Action for Clean Energy. Along with Lantern Energy, our home energy audit provider, we put Heat Smart Groton together to facilitate an increase of usage of our rebates for home energy audits, as well as insulation, to improve the energy efficiencies of residents' homes in the Groton utility territory. So far, Heat Smart in Connecticut has been working in 14 towns and cities and counting, and they've been successful in their advancement of residential energy efficiency adoption. The primary goals of the project are to increase the energy efficiencies of homes within the GU electrical territory through the promotion of home energy audits and insulation incentives, ultimately pushing them toward electrification and heat pumps, whether it's a heat pump for a water heater or a HVAC type system. We're seeing some, since we've been working with the group, we've seen some 500-time fold increase in home audits. I think we did the initial workshop, if you will, at the town of Groton. I think we signed up somewhere around 85 different homes to go through the process. Up till then, I think I was averaging somewhere around 6 audits a month. The last 2 months, we've had 33 and 33, and I think we're already signed up for somewhere around 28 for this month. So we're seeing huge increases, and the reality is that the people we talk to don't seem to know about it or didn't know about it, and they're jumping in. So we're excited about that. I'm excited about that anyway. And so these are the things that we're trying to do. So why we're here is we're trying to tell you guys about the program. We're trying to get you to tell everybody you guys know that we're going to be having an Insulation 101, and we'd like people to come. It's going to be here. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit. But that's why, we want to inform you guys so you can inform more people about what we're trying to do.
And to help with that information, you guys do have the handouts. They're in both English and Spanish. That kind of explains the 3-step process. I did want to just note that this is for homeowners and renters can take advantage of this program. And any GU customers are also eligible for LED light bulb upgrades as part of their site visit. So yes, if you guys can please share the flyer that we sent out with you. On Thursday, March 13th at 6 p.m., we will be back in council chambers here to do our Insulation 101 workshop. And then also, I just wanted to highlight the Heat Smart Groton website, which includes all this information that we've been discussing thus far on it. whether you're Groton Utilities customers or Eversource customer. There are these 3 videos that were added to the website that helps you understand each part of the 3-step process. We won't go into them today, but I just encourage you guys to go back and view. This website gives you a wealth of information, gives you direct contacts to Lantern and to all the individuals that are working on this initiative. And it's pretty cold out there these days, so if you want to address your heat concerns or anything like that, give us a call.
Okay, I'll open the floor up for questions or discussion. Councilor Sheffield?
As far as, would this program make recommendations if you find things that you need to take care of as far as to insulate your home, to, keep heat from, leaving your home? How is that?
Phase 1 is that home energy audit, or what we call HES,
Okay.
and that does exactly that. So they go through your house, they try to, block up leaks, try to stop that, air escaping or getting into the house, and they walk through all of those things. They look at carbon monoxide, they look at a number of things to facilitate having a safe, efficient home. So that's step 1. Step 2 is more of the insulation, and by the end of step 1, you kind of have a plan going forward.
Okay. And Alexa, just for $75, I'm seeing?
No,
No.
that's Eversource's charge.
Oh, so ours
Ours
is,
is all inclusive for the audit.
oh, excellent, excellent, okay, great, great.
And I will tell you, my wife reached out and signed up for this.
I will too.
They came in and they changed light bulbs out, they did, weather stripping around the doors and the windows if it needed it, and other things, and we noticed a significant decrease in our electric bill the next month, and continued on. So I highly encourage you to do this, because you can't beat the price.
There's also additional rebates going forward for the insulation and for the heat pumps and those types of things, water heaters. So as you build your plan with Lantern and they give you kind of a roadmap, check with GU, because we have rebates that kind of follow that to further advance the energy efficiencies of your house.
Well, since I have an older home, obviously I, definitely have plenty of
Right.
Okay, yes. A few crevices, thank you, yes.
Okay, Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. I've had 2 energy efficient audits done. So one time, the first time, wasn't charged for anything, and they put like the threshold sash on it and so forth and so on. But the second time, I was charged, but then I was also charged for all the light bulbs. So you're saying that if you're a GU customer, there's no charge for the audit? But is there charge for the bulbs?
No,
Or if they put in weather stripping or anything else like that?
there should be no charge for the audit or the weather stripping or the bulbs or anything like that.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to point out is when they came in the second time, I had water damage to my kitchen, but that had been completed, but the back wall and this side wall was drywalled and ready to be basically painted. But they said they couldn't hook up the fan and so forth because they consider it still in renovation even though it was drywalled up. So I wanted to see if that still stood.
So I've run into that a couple times, and what I do is I basically talk to the homeowner, I talk to Lantern, and we work out a scenario for them to get that work done so that Lantern can come back and do their proper door tests and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
that has happened. I can't tell you what happened on your second audit. Was that recently? Was that? You didn't
I
move-
don't remember.
You didn't move the house out of GU territory, did you?
I'm sorry?
You're still in GU territory?
Yeah, it's
for
the same
both
house,
houses?
same house,
Okay.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I thought, well, how it was explained to me is that the monies they had prior to, they didn't have the monies this time around. That's what was explained to me, so I paid for every single bulb they suggested to replace.
okay, that is the first I've heard of that happening, and I will check with them, but that's not how the program works.
And I still have the bulbs.
And just to point out, Heat Smart Groton, we may be talking about 2 different programs. Heat Smart Groton started in November of last year. was the kickoff of this program. So we may be talking about two different.
Well,
Okay.
she's talking about HES, she's talking about the audit itself, and the audit's been in place for a number of years.
Okay.
So this Heat Smart is just trying to get the word out, it's more of a marketing campaign, promotion of it, but it's really, that's the bare bones, is your HES home audit.
Right, right.
So I am surprised, and maybe I will reach out to Lantern to see if things changed for a period of time in the past. I don't know that.
Yeah, I just went by what
I
they said.
appreciate that information.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, so you said the part 2 is installation, so you would go more in depth on,
Okay, so yeah, so our first one was at the library in town of Groton, and we only talked about HES. We talked about, well, people had questions all over the place, but we really were focused on just the first stage, getting people, on the list for us to audit their house. This next one is insulation 101 to bring, people to the next stage, or to bring people in that haven't heard, that want to kind of get a rounder understanding of the process. I'm expecting to do one more, which will be heat pumps specifically.
now is insulation included within that? Is that about windows also?
So that would be the second scenario where there can be additional fees.
Okay, right.
So if you come in and it doesn't have to be Lantern in the insulation case, we're open to working with a number of different contractors, and we do. So basically, your contractor would come in, tell you what you need. Our program basically says, okay, if you don't have an R19 or if it's not enough insulation, it's got to be below that for us to pay up to an R49.
Okay.
If you get an R49, our rebate's $2.50 a square foot for the attic. If they go to an R38, it's like $2. So there is a sliding scale there, and depending, in most cases, our rebate covers the cost of the attic, but if you're having like domes put in and different venting scenarios, that's kind of outside of what our rebate would cover.
Okay, good. Thank you for all the information. Appreciate
Aaron,
it.
did you have some additional information you want to add regarding,
Well, just for a little bit of context, so we've had the Home Energy Savings Program probably for a decade or more. Certainly it's taken different versions and iterations over that time frame. So there was a period of time, right, where there was a $50 copay and light bulbs maybe were an extra charge. But as it stands today, that program is completely free and does include LED light bulbs.
Great.
Screw it. Light bulbs.
anyone else? Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Parks and Rec. Mary? Okay, we'll start with the 2024 beach season review.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I was asked to kind of give a summary of last summer. That's 6 months ago, but we're here. So just to kind of give some statistics, because beach passes have very much, we're getting higher and higher every year. So just a rough idea of what we sold for beach passes for city residents, we sold 1,305. For town or Groton residents, we sold 805. Non-Groton residents was 565. So if you take the 805 and the 665, we're exceeding out-of-town passes are now exceeding city passes in regards to people purchasing passes. We had a total of 2,895 passes last year, which was up from 2,559 from the year before. We are trying to push we're trying to push the online sales, doing everything on the computer. It increased from 176 last year to 443 the year before, 2023, and 443 this past year. Obviously, if I went back to 2020, it was probably 1,500 that we sold online because that was the only way we could do it. The season has come upon us come March, where we'll start getting ready for next season. And we'll start looking at benches and the wear and tear on any of the benches. Some of you might have noticed we've moved some of the benches out of the area where they used to get storm surge and get knocked over and float around the parking lot. So we kind of moved those this winter so we wouldn't have as much wear and tear on those. We'll get the picnic tables, the ones along the riverside, the bigger metal ones, we'll get those painted and ready. The other ones we've kept natural, so we'll just make sure they're just washed down and taken care of. We'll clear all any kind of winter cleanup. You know, we do push snow down there, and with snow goes other things, so we'll make sure all those areas are clean. We'll inspect the property. We'll address any problems that need to be looked at. We're going to power wash the deck at the Tyler House. We're going to get the hood cleaned in the concession stand. We're going to paint paint or replace the condiment table in front of by the concession stand because it needs some work. I don't know if you all recall, last year we lost our grill the latter 2 weeks of the playground program of the beach season. So that's we'll have that installed, and we'll move the one that we brought down from the park back to the park. We'll address any interior signage on any of the doors, and we'll do a thorough cleaning of the restrooms. New swing sets and swing benches are going to be replaced based on the ARPA funding that we got. So we'll be pulling out the old stuff and getting the new stuff installed. We're going to work on blowing out the playground, poured in place on a weekly or a daily basis, depending on what happens and how it is, brought into the playground. So that's where we're at the playground at the beach. We had a large discussion about beach pass sales. There's been a lot of talk about why do we wait till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I believe it used to be because there was a few more departments at that counter prior to 2020. Building and zoning was there, people coming in for permits, city clerk's office, parks and recreation. So we're gonna change in-person sales this year from Monday through Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then Saturdays 9 to 12. That way we can have the POS system sit right there on the counter, and we'll have our salesperson there. If they go to lunch, at least we're right there. So everything will be at the counter now as opposed to in the lobby. We're gonna try to, I'm sorry, my context just adjusted on me and everything got blurry, sorry. We're gonna look at other ways to promote it other than just our Facebook page and our website. We're gonna we used to put it in the day paper or the Times, and we're gonna look at doing that again. There was discussion, and will come up later today in the user fee rules and regulations, and I'll explain at that time where we might look at raising the parking fee at the gate. So that's a quick summary of where we were, and where we're going for the summer season.
Okay, questions or comments from the council, Deputy Mayor Depot?
I just want to say that sounds like a lot of work, and I think they're all good improvements, though. I know people have been asking about the time, to have more time to come get passes.
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of people are going to appreciate that change, and hopefully it'll make it a little easier for you guys. It'll be spread out a little more of people coming to get passes.
Yeah, and we had to look at that because if we go during the daytime, Friday the building's not open to the public. So Friday we won't be selling them because we don't want the building open for the rest of the building. So, but we'll see. We'll evaluate that too and see how that all works. So,
Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. Mary, so at the beach, has it ever been closed due to full capacity?
correct. Yes.
It has been, okay.
We hadn't been for a while. We'd gotten it down. We had for years closed on Saturdays and Sundays a lot because of the Zabersky house rental. Somebody rented the house, they get 20 passes, and then somebody rents it later in the day, they get 20 passes, and so
Okay.
there's that overlap of maybe 40 passes. So now we make it that we only have one rental prior to 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So that alleviated that. The last 2 years, last year we closed the beach 7 times, and we actually closed it a couple Tuesdays and a Wednesday, which is very odd. I think there's some components to that. People come down and they go to Hammonasset, can't get in. They go to Rocky Neck, they can't get in. They go to Ocean Beach, can't get in. So they Google the next closest beach. Waterford Beach this year closed off, no daily parking on Saturdays and Sundays, because they were getting the overflow from Ocean Beach. So they made a policy after the 4th of July that Monday through Friday they had a gate fee, but Saturdays and Sundays they did not. So I don't know if that pushed people towards our beach, because they just want to find a beach that they can go to. Mm-hmm. And so we did have an influx of closures this year that we hadn't had in the past. And it's usually maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and it's usually that 12:30 to 1:30 time frame where your families have left for the day or getting ready to grab their lunch and they go home. Mm-hmm. And then your older families or our older community members come in and enjoy the afternoon. So,
Okay,
Yep.
glad to know. I also wanted to ask, so this is probably more for me, but, so when we do the busing, is there gonna be a permanent spot where we actually pull up and go? Because that, it seems like it's changed, like we're in front of the housing where I forget the name of the house, the stone house there. I can't
The
think of
Tyler
it.
House.
Thank you.
So there's
We're there, but then we were told to pull up in front of the bike rack, so will there be a set place for the buses to pull?
There's always been,
unload and
yes,
unload?
so there's a loading area, it's in the white, it's right prior to, right, so you have the bike area, which is yellow.
Yep.
And then prior to that, before you come around that corner,
So-
there's the loading.
So just
that's
as you're
the-
turning kind of like
Mhm.
past the Tyler house?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's always been the loading zone there.
Oh, okay.
Because if we put you up further, then the traffic can't get out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to know.
Yep.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Any other questions? Okay, all right, moving on. 2025 beach rules.
Oops. So the beach rules, so I'm hoping you all have copies that have red on them. Okay, yay. So a few things that were just added on, I don't think there's anything added on page 1, except that obviously we changed the year to 2025. On page 2, so at page 2, the increase, the Beach and Parks looked at statistics from the last couple of years in regards to how the gate is getting a little bit more busy on the daily rates, the daily activity. As you heard, 2,800 passes, but we still have an influx of people just coming for the day. And they felt that, and since we just raised the pass fees 2 years ago, and like our non-resident fee went from $70 to $100, so it was a $30 increase 2 years ago for that, they would like to maybe go and raise the fee at the gate. Just a caveat, is that the word? For the gates, when you come through the gate and you get your receipts, you're shared with whoever the gate personnel shares with you. Take that to the municipal building, you can put that receipt towards your beach pass. So if anybody forgets to buy their pass before the season opens, or if they realize they're gonna use the beach, okay, they've come 2 Saturdays and they've paid $80, just come here and pay me another 10 or another 20, and you have a beach pass for the rest of the summer, and you don't have to worry about it. So the Beach and Parks recommendation is to go up on the daily rate, Monday through Friday, $30, and Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, $40. So that was the first change. The next add-on is since 2 years ago when we started with Memorial Day weekend, we didn't include Memorial Day as a holiday, so we added that. Then on the next page, they gave a category for water sports, because we had that kind of listed in the rules and regulations separately, but they thought they would call it out so it'd be easier for the staff to find in regards to windsurfing, canoes. We've had a few paddle boarders, and we've had jet skis come into our roped off area. So we kind of want to make that a little bit more standout. So that was kind of just pulled it from the rules and regulations, the 28 rules and regulations that we had, and made it its own entity. Page 4, the only change here was added some language in regards to the pop-up tents, those big 10 by 10 metal pop-up tent things. We're trying to get away from those coming where there's other stuff that's a little less hazardous if it catches the wind, that are more umbrella-like but have bigger space that covers areas for families. But we just wanted to make sure that we added, if it could cause any concern, they could be asked to take it down. The next page, on page 5, so we had 28 rules and regulations under M. They decided to pull out anything that was language that they could not change. So the Beach and Parks Committee doesn't change the ordinance language for pets, and they don't change the smoking language, and then they don't change the Coast Guard approved, so that's all stuff that's shared with us, and then the Department of the Connecticut regulation on idling of vehicles. So they've put that in a separate section, so that would be separate, and we can earmark saying, hey, if you have a question about what kind of flotation device, we can go look at section N of the rules and regulations. So they moved that. And then under picnic areas, under O, they just wanted to put in the word placed, so that way people understand where the picnic tables are placed and why. It used to just say picnic tables are to benefit the general public. So they thought the word placed sounded a little better, so they made that correction. And I believe that's all the updates they made on the rules and regulations for the coming season.
Okay, questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Depot?
I just wanted to comment that I like the reorganizing. I think it streamlines it and makes it a little more readable. And there's a bunch of little tweaks, like changing boombox to speakers is funny, because we don't call them boom boxes anymore.
Well, they had an interesting discussion. Does anybody even know what a boombox is?
But I can,
Because people put, they have their earpods in their phones and all that stuff now too. So.
but I can tell they went through it, and it's good to update it every once in a while, because you do, I'm sure, get people at the beach who will be like, well, that's not what it means to me or whatever.
Right.
So
Yep.
I do think that's helpful. I think this is a really good kind of holistic edit to all of the things.
Yeah.
And I agree with I think the changing the daily rate will encourage more people to just buy a pass,
Correct.
which will be easier for the staff because they won't have to stop every car because you can see the pass, so.
And it helps with safety too. We wouldn't have as much dollars down there.
Right,
So.
so I think that's a good idea.
Do you want to talk briefly about the rules when they get to pass, what we're looking to do? QR code.
Oh, yes, sorry, that was fresh, well, that's just in my head from last week. So there's been discussion because when we print out the rules to give to everybody, it's expensive because it's 7 pages of paper made into a booklet. So there was discussion of having a link and/or a QR code so that people, to reference and put that, like, so the people who get it online would be stuffed in their envelope, the people who buy it. That way they've been informed of the rules. It's not costing me to print everything, so that came out of my budget meeting, sorry, it wasn't my piece. So that way,
So
they-
we're trying to move into the future. We're gonna go with the QR code on it. There will be a hard copy of the rules posted at the beach if anybody wants to look at it, but the QR code will take them to the rules online, and most people are operating out of their phones anyway, so we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay? Did anybody over here have any questions or comments on this? Okay? The beach rules, before we go, I'll take a motion to move these to the mayor and council meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, user fees?
Okay, so user fees, very limited changes in this. On page 3 is so page 3 is actually a repeat of what's in the rules and regulations for the beach, so we updated that. So under special events, they used the word from, because I think that was, it just said extended from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. They also, the special events fee went up because the gate fee went up, so that went up $10. It used to be $40. There's really a special event that this affects, and that's Sailfest, but it was put in way back in 2012 when we had Opsail here, and the parking lot was full at 8:30 in the morning. And then I kept calling the cops and telling them, stop sending people here because I have no room. So it kind of helps with that. And it gives us money for a special event. Everything else is stayed the same. The committee decided, since last year was the first year that we went to weekly fee for summer playground, they'd like to have another year of statistics before we look at, see what we should, if there should be an increase with that. So that way we have some information to share as opposed to just the 1 year. And we'll go from there. And then, so those are the only changes in the user fees. Because some of the things have increased over the years, last couple of years. And if anything has to be updated in the future, we can do that.
Okay, you want to take this opportunity to talk about the letter and the
We can.
questions that Councilor Sheffield and Deputy Mayor Depot had last week?
Yeah, since playground is in here. So as you all are aware, not just the council got the letter from our resident, so every member of the Beach and Parks Committee, 2 in my office, and I believe the city clerk. So I reached out to the school. I figured, let me start at the school and to see if what we can do to maybe look at this. So the breakdown of how it goes for the kids in school, it's pre-K, transitional kindergarten, and then kindergarten. So we looked at this and we figured, okay, we could, pre-K and transitional kindergarten could be their minnows. And our kindergarten could become part of the snappers K through second grade, but the kindergartner needs to be 5 years old prior to September 1st, which is the guidelines that the school's using. So that way we can account, and that's how we advertise it. Obviously, we've always made accommodations for parents who might have multiple kids in our program. I shared with the mayor, when we went to the playground going where snappers go to the beach on Wednesday and piranhas go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all go to different groups. You know, some hardship for parents to pick their kids up at 2 different locations at 3 o'clock. So if you have we had a second grader and his brother or sister was a third grader, so we put them in a group together. So that way mom wasn't struggling to get to 2 locations. But this follows the guidelines of what the school does in regards to how our kids would be great in groups at the playground. And we would put that asterisk next to the K. And talking to the school, that they feel that would fall into line with what the concern was in the letter.
And if there are any residents out there that when you're signing your kids up, if this poses a hardship, let us know. And on a case basis, we can evaluate it and see if we can reach reasonable accommodation on this. So we will work with you as best we can. So I think that addresses the letter. So I'll open it up. Any questions or comments on user fees? Councilor Piazza.
Yes, so, remember reading the letter, and can you just summarize real quick what their biggest concern was? Wasn't it about keeping their children who are going to be kindergartners?
So the state changed the age requirement from
Right.
January 1 to September
Right.
1. So anybody who has a late birthday, like September, October, November, December,
Right,
would, from the way the school addressed it to us, they would be in the transitional kindergarten, because they don't quite hit the age group to go into kindergarten. And so the letter was, I looked, the letter actually, I think, has it in reverse in regards to how she talked about it, because she made transitional kindergarten second year, and it's, transitional is
So
actually
into
kindergarten
kindergarten.
first year. The regular kindergarten is their kindergarten based on the state. And that's why I went to the school, because I wanted to make sure how this was presented correctly. And it goes pre-K, transitional kindergarten, then kindergarten. So there was confusion of those kids that would already been in kindergarten, then go to kindergarten again. But it's the kids that are transitioning would be still classified as a minnow, but we might be able to work with them depending on how close they are to that cutoff. If their birthday's like September 1, I'm not gonna say you can't come to the snappers, because they're on that cusp. Even if they're maybe September 10, we'd work with that. But if they're December 10, they're gonna stay as a transitional kindergartner in our program.
right, so what was the concern in that? Was it as far as picking up siblings, or
No,
was it half
it sounded-
dayers, or,
I-
I'm trying to
it was-
remember. I should have brought the letter with me.
Yeah, I mean, here I go. Here, my eye's messing up again. I have progressive contact lenses, so it doesn't work very well when I look up and look down.
Yeah, that's right, those were like, ugh.
She was the way she wrote it is that the transitional kindergarten kids should be in the full day program. But the way the school explained it to us, it's the reverse. So the transitional kindergarten kids would be the ones that are coming right out of pre-K. So they could still be in the minnow program, which is our half-day program. She's trying to look for a full day daycare type
Correct.
of option
Correct, I understood that.
for, and using our program for that. So,
So she, basically it comes down to transitional K should be allowed to have a full day at
regular
Parks and
K,
Rec.
regular kindergarten.
Okay, I thought it was transitional K. She
That's,
wanted
that's,
for a
that's
full
what
time.
she was looking for, but that's why I wanted to get the understanding of how the school lays this out. How she put it in the letter and how the school actually does it is opposite. So, I'm not sure if it would still help her. I would love to talk to her, but I don't, or him, but I don't know who this person is.
So transitional Ks are gonna be half-dayers at school?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So,
We haven't gotten any info.
but-
You know, Erin? Okay.
Well,
So-
hold on.
Sorry.
But I mean, we don't tailor our program totally with the way the school system goes. We try to, we used to do great, we used to do by age. But we used to have parents falsifying their registration forms so their kids would be with their friends. So we went to grades.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
So, a few things, so because I work in a preschool, we have preschoolers that go to the kindergarten and transitional kindergarten. I think one of the main issues is what happens is they're going into transitional kindergarten, which is basically kindergarten. It's a full-day program, and then when they complete transitional kindergarten, they are eligible to potentially go to first grade after that and skip that second year of kindergarten. So I think part of the question or the conflict, at least that I've heard from several parents, is that their kiddo's going into a full-day program just like they would if they were going into kindergarten. So keeping them with preschoolers that are doing half-day, that are developmentally at a lower level, one, may leave them bored or with children that are seemingly, because the transitions at those ages are so fast, the developmental transitions. So I think developmentally, at least this is what I've heard as concerns, that's an issue. But also, if they complete transitional kindergarten, they're going to be with that older group of kiddos in class that year or the next year. So I think some parents wanted their kids with the older kids instead of with the younger kids, because then you've got a kid that's 5, like say their birthday's October 1st, and they're gonna be 5 October 1st, they're with in the same group with 3-year-olds, right, with minnows, or
We don't take 3-year-olds.
or what, well, what's the young,
Four is our youngest grade.
and what,
Age.
they have to be 4 by what time?
It used
By the
to-
beginning of the program?
It used to be June 1st, yeah.
So, those are the concerns that I have heard, and it's mostly about the full day thing,
Yep.
like they're going to school full day, so it would make sense for them to go to the summer program full day. But what I'm hearing from you is that if someone has an issue where they've got an older sibling, that they need to, come ask for an exception
Yeah.
or have a
We'll try to
conversation.
accommodate what works with the family. I will share with you, we have first and second, we modified our field trip schedule for our snappers, our first and second graders, because they can't handle the full day. Because summer playground is a lot different than school. They're outside, I mean, they're falling asleep at the picnic tables at the beach on Tuesdays. It's, because it's a very different environment, it's not as structured, but we're willing to, and then we assess that every time, once we have kids registered, even one of my supervisors that's at the playground is an elementary school teacher. She's been doing it at least 5 or 6 years, so she helps us with that assessment. So it's not like we're just handpicking who we want. It's a collaboration with the staff, the director of playground, the supervisor, and the parent to see if they can handle. Same thing would happen if they try to sign we've had this happen where they try to sign their kids up for the older group. And you can tell they're not quite ready for that group, and you find out like 2 weeks later because, they put them in that group because they can put it on the computer that way, and we're able to register a kid for an older program, and then we have to revert them back to the program that they are supposed to be. But we always will accommodate if we need to.
And then,
And this is going to be one of those transition years. It is new to us. It's new to the schools. It would be something that would be evaluated to see how many it impacts, at the end of the season or even midway. We do weekly registrations, so if we find out, okay, this week your kid, okay, we understand your kid needs to go to snappers, or they might even need to go to piranhas, who knows, we would make that adjustment.
and then, do you know what the town of Groton does for their programs?
Town does age, we did reach out to them, they do 5 to 13-year-olds, and they have to be they have to be of age the week they're registering for. So like if they turn 5 in, like say they start, like we start the end of June, their kid's still 4, they can't go, but then like if they're mid-July, they turn 5, they could start going to their program if they have room. And we did we did ages up until 2019, and then we went to then we were running into a lot of families complaining that their kids weren't in the same group as the kids they went to school with because they maybe had the late birthday or the early birthday or whatever. And so the grades have seemed to work better for us in regards to getting the kids where they need to be.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Talley, you had a comment?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that the issue is that the children that are in the transition to kindergarten class are going all day. And so I think most parents of those children are gonna want them to also go all day for the summer. And if we could accommodate that, I think that would be great.
Yeah, we'll put it out there, we'll advertise it, if we get some phone calls, we'll figure out how to make those adjustments. It's an operational
Yeah,
issue that we can deal with.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see how many it affects.
right.
Because I would have been one of those kids if it was them. I have a
Yeah.
November birthday, so I kind of feel,
Yeah.
kind of can see where this could be. So,
Any other, Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. So when you were saying that if somebody's December 1st, they wouldn't actually go into that program. So even if they were a transitional K, you wouldn't put them into the next level? And what would be, working with them, but what's the basis? Because for me, I think it's a great idea, but then again, I think you're gonna have some people with some kind of kickback to it. It's like, well, Johnny, you allowed Johnny to come in, how come Susie can't come in? You know, they're both transitional Ks.
well, if they call us, we'll talk to them about it. I mean, we've done that we do that all summer. Yeah, we do that even once program starts. You know, you may have a minnow that would benefit from an all-day program and they've been moved to the snappers. You might have a second grader that's an older second grader and does better in the piranhas, which is third and fourth grade, even though he's only going into second grade. Might have stayed back, parents might have held him back, they might have done, there's transitional kindergarten's not new in Groton, they've done it, they've been doing it, it's not something new. So, you know, like Gwen said, a kid could go from transitional kindergarten to first grade. And we kind of do the same thing. We see how, summer, we get them there and we figure it out. But if they want, by all means, call us if there's an issue that you see something when it gets advertised, and we'll make it work.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Councilor Talley?
So it sounds like when the parent is signing up their child, that they kind of do have the option
Yeah.
of which program they wanna choose.
Yes.
Okay, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's some of it in the computer is all based on age too. So when they
Right.
type in their birthday, it takes them right to where they qualify.
Right,
So,
yeah.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, vehicle purchase?
All right, so the last thing I have is, I have a 2005 Mason dump that I need to replace. We've rebuilt the dump part twice, welded, so we had a bed, and it's pretty rusty, so I went through, I can't say it, Gingras, which is the state bid for trucks, got a quote, and I'm here, it's budgeted for, this was in my last year capital improvement, so I would like to move forward to purchase this vehicle, so we'd have it for the upcoming spring and, well, I don't know, as soon as I can get it. So, because this is, we haul the seaweed, well, different things that we do in the, out in the park, dirt, clay, everything gets moved with this truck, so.
Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Councilor Sheffield?
How soon will the truck be delivered in?
They didn't actually give me that information when I asked, so, I think it probably, I'd have a better idea. I could call them this week and have a better idea for you next Monday if you'd like.
Okay, and was this bid at all for the truck? Was it, or was just,
We went
South
with
State bid list?
oh, okay,
state bid, yep.
okay, okay. Yep, that's all,
Okay, any
thank
other
you.
questions or comments? All right, I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries, okay?
Thank you
you,
very
Mary.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary, for all
Thank you,
your
Mary.
work.
Okay, Ron, purchasing policy revisions. Now, this is the 1004. This is the Groton Utilities purchasing policy, not the city of Groton's.
Correct. Yep, so this is for the utilities. So if you recall, a few months, we came to a CAL just looking for consensus with the recommendation of the Utility Commission to move the approval rates that are currently at the $50,000 for all purchases 50,000 or above would need UC approval and would also need council approval. And we did get consensus at that meeting to go with UC's recommendation of moving the UC approval from 50 to 75 and the council from 50 to 100,000. So you'll see in the policies that were given out, there's the red line version, there's a lot of red in there, and it's pretty overwhelming. The real reason for that is it was just to clean the formatting up and the flow of it. And it was just moving things around into different sections and to bring it so somebody could pick the policy up and just go through it and read it and not have to figure out which section and jump around, because over the years, things just kept getting added to it as an occurrence happened to cover it. So we took and cleaned that up. So again, the biggest changes in here, I'll just kind of go very high level, was the formatting and the flow of the policy. Not a lot changed inside of it. And like I just said, the biggest thing was the UC approval went from the 50 up to the 75,000. Council approval will now go from the 50,000 up to 100,000. So it just will help eliminate a lot of the things coming to council that are the recurring, like the subscriptions for programs and those types of things. Like the accounting software is now getting over the 50,000, some of the customer care stuff. So it'll just help with those processes. The unbudgeted amount still stays the same at the 10,000. So any unbudgeted purchase of $10,000 or more still will need city council approval, and that's based on charter. So that did stay the same. The purchase orders, we just moved that from the 2,500. We're seeing a lot of purchase orders being cut for just small amounts, just day-to-day stuff. So we moved that from the 2,500 up to 5,000. And again, just to kind of walk through the different levels of what needs to happen during a purchase, anything from $2,500 to $10,000, verbal quotes are required, 3 of them. We still recommend getting them in writing, just so that way they do have them in case somebody does question, but that is just a verbal quote from the 2,500 to the 10. Written quotes are required from 10,000 up to 25,000. And then anything over 25,000 would need to be a formal competitive bid that would need to go out. With using the competitive bid, just as Mary did with the truck, we do allow using consortiums or the state bid, because they do vet and go through the whole bidding process to come up with vendors. So that's also included in there. And then the last thing that we did include in this policy that wasn't in the last one was the master service agreements, which are just agreements, they're usually currently with engineering firms. And what we tried to do is at least have 2 of them, so that way we can get quotes if there is a project to make sure we are still getting the best value on those. So at a very high level, those are the changes. This was approved at the last UC meeting. So it's kind of, like I said, the very high level, but please just don't be overwhelmed by the red line copy, because that was truly just formatting and moving stuff around.
Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Councilor Sheffield.
Now, I see where it's anything, this is for budgeted projects that we're talking about, $100,000 being approved by the council. But I see the unbudgeted, it's 10,000.
Still stays at 10. Yep.
Okay. very
Yep,
good.
and that is driven truly by the language in the charter.
Okay.
Councilor Piazza.
Just for general information, so I know you went from 50 to 100. So statistically, you're doing that because that's what you're finding is there's things over 50? Did you find that they were greater than 75, that you could go from 50 to 75, or it was just better to tap up to 100,000?
What we wanted to do too was kind of break it up from, everything was the same from council and UC for their approval. So what this does is it actually staggers it too, so it gives everything from up to 70, from 75 above will still need UC approval, so they're still gonna vet
Okay.
that process. And it just eliminates a lot of things coming to council that are, just ordinary operation things that have just crept up over the years. And we're kind of getting up over that 50,000 with a lot of these things. So it's just to try to help with the process and to keep things moving.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll take a motion to move this to mayor and council meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, donation request, Thames River Heritage Park.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Or do you want to start it with the letter that you received for it? And then I can-
Well, yeah, that's included in your backup. So we received a letter from Thames River Heritage Park. They asked for an additional $300, right?
3,000.
Went from 13, all right, hold on.
we were at 12.5 was the last one.
Okay, then, well, 12.5's, hold on, let me get to the letter. So increase to $13,315 for the upcoming fiscal year. Funding represents a 33% increase from the city's original contribution of $10,000 in 2015, and is commensurate with the average rate of inflation. So they did go up. Last year, we had 12,500. They've also asked the same thing for the town of Groton and the city of New London. I talked to John Burt. John Burt is looking to pay the increase $13,315. And I talked to Mike Passereau. New London is having a particularly hard time this year, and so he's going to pay the $12,500, and that's it. So, but we looked at it. We can afford it. It is a donation from us. The utility in the past had agreed to $10,000 a year for 5 years, right? I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their actual agreement was. If you look through, so what I handed out was the history of the grants that we gave to the Thames River Heritage Park over the years. It appears that Groton Utilities has donated the last 8 years or 8 times of that 10,000. So I don't know if it was a 5 or a 10, or if they've just continued on with the program.
I
I'm
think
not-
they continued on. The original obligation, if you will, that they agreed to was $10,000 a year for 5 years. And then they just continued, and then the city has also done their amount, done our amount that we put in.
Right, and this does come out of a special revenue fund, the 204, which is the same fund that is used for all of the other donations, that the $5,000 donations in a fiscal year. This is not part of that program or that resolution. This is outside of it. This is truly for the water taxes, which we've historically funded.
Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Deputy Mayor Depot.
So, in the letter, it says it costs them about $50,000 to operate, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah,
Well, yes.
in the letter, yeah.
So, I have a few thoughts. I think when we initially started funding it, in my opinion, I thought it was, I think it is a good cause. I thought it was especially good in the beginning to help get it launched. That made sense to me. To be honest, I assumed that at this point they would be pursuing more other funding sources rather than increasing their ask to the funding sources that have been loyal to them for this many years. So I'm kind of surprised that there's not more variety in the funding, although I don't know where that's coming from. The only thing I'm relying on is the increase in the ask, and knowing that they asked, at least us four, right? Or Groton Utilities, City of Groton, Town of Groton, City of New London, right? I personally I think the percentage of their program that we're funding, I'd be interested to see a profit and loss statement for them, if they would be willing to submit one. Just as working now in the nonprofit space and applying for grants, the amount of financial information that I know that some grant programs ask for to supply large donations, I don't think that's a big ask. I don't know, that's how I feel about it. I think that I'd be interested just to see their profit and loss if we're going to be supplying this big of a percentage of their program cost.
So they also get $100,000 a year from the state. That is one of the things they are expanding their programming, and they are trying to come up with other ways to generate revenue in addition to other grants that they're applying to. But I can get I can ask for rather, a profit and loss statement, if that's what you want. Now, is that contingent, do you want that before you vote? Because if you want that before you vote, I'm not gonna bring it to next week's mayor and council. And you can say, yes, I'll hold it. I mean, the season has not started. The boats are still up at Gills Ferry Marina.
Okay. I'm not trying to be
undercover.
difficult, I just,
If that's what you want, I'll get it for you.
okay, yes,
For the council, not for you, for the council.
yes,
Okay?
thank you.
Did you take a note of that so that I'm reminded tomorrow? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's a good ask. On the other side of it, I think, I went to a couple of things down at that they had, some events. I think also too, with the future of our piers down on Thames Street and the whole thing of transition up to Fort Griswold, I think it's, I think we definitely need to stay in, connect with them and support as much as we capitally can. Because, the future of history in the making, I think, is a good support system, especially because there'll be a large part of that once that really gets rolling. So I think capitally, if we can, whatever we can afford, wisely, is a good idea.
I will also tell you that a third vessel was asked for and received, the Namiog. And the purpose of the Namiog is for tours to the Nautilus boat dock. And now the boat dock at Nautilus is 100% installed and is operational. So I know there are discussions going on with what that's gonna look like and everything else, but I missed the last meeting, so I'm not sure where that is. Did you?
And I kind of said it, but I'm not sure if I was overly clear. So this does come out of a special revenue fund, so this is not part of the general fund. These are revenues that come in for the CMAQ generators, what's where the revenue comes for in this fund. So just so everybody's aware that it's not coming out of like the general fund or anything like that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, that's it. Thank you, Ron. All right, the last thing is board and commissions. We have actually three reappointments, two to the Board of Ethics, Margaret Robertson and Pete Burns. And then the third one is Brian Clinton to Legislative Board of Directors. You have a revised resolution in front of you. We talked, Danny and I talked to Jen Muggio, who is the Executive Director for Legislative Health District. The number of board members are based on 10,000 per population. So we have 10,000 or less, so we have one person. He is a reappointment, and she did speak highly of him and wants to keep him on the board. Any questions or comments on Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. I personally don't know this person. I don't know when he was elected back before, but could you give us a little background on him? On Mr. Clinton?
If I had it, I'd give it to you. Because he's a reappointment, so his application is probably filed somewhere else.
Okay, is that something we can get? I mean, just because you said, who was it that recommended him?
The executive director of the program.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, in my mind, that would carry some weight, but if that's not what you're comfortable with.
Just if we can have it for the next
What-
meeting. I don't
What
need
is
to
it
wait
you're
on it.
looking for?
What his, just his background is. Like we used to get like what they're called.
You get it on initial applications only.
Okay.
Every time, well, hold on, I'm
Okay.
answering your question.
Sure.
Every time we reappoint people,
Mm-hmm.
we do not bring brand-new CVs or anything else, or resumes or applications, because it's a reappointment. Only on the new appointments is is what our policy has been to provide to the council. So,
Thank you for clarifying that, but, because is it something, information I could get? Because when was his initial, so how long has he been on this position?
I think they're 3-year terms.
So he's ending his first term, or was he on prior to that? Is this like a second, third, fourth? I don't know anything about this gentleman, you know, I'm not questioning the recommendation, I just, most of the time, I think the people that we've seen, I've been here before and have seen their things, I used to save them in envelopes so I could refer back when they were for reappointment, but I just don't remember his name per se and what his background is.
okay. Deputy Mayor Debo.
If you saw a picture of him, you would recognize him because he is also on Beach and Parks and he's volunteered with us under the tent on City Day before. So I'm pretty sure that you've met him before. And I think he's an assistant professor at a state college or a,
It's just something I'd like to have, just
but-
like we're
Okay,
but
profiting
yeah,
this place.
he volunteers at lots of things in the city and he's been on Beach and Parks for a little bit. And I've volunteered with him. So I have met him and I'm
you
happy
want
to
me
have him
hold-
volunteering on this committee.
You want me to hold this up until we
No,
get that, or
no,
just give
no,
it?
a quick
We will do our best to get it to you. Okay, so let me be clear here. Do you want it just for your own information, or do you want it to help you make a decision on his appointment?
The latter.
Okay? Then I will move this, but if I will try to get it to him, but if we don't have it by then I'll take it off.
But don't we have his first resume on file somehow?
We might, I don't know.
I would imagine so, right?
Hopefully.
Well,
Okay,
I'm sure we do,
okay.
because previous clerks have it where it is specifically located. We have a lot of files. We will do our best to get you something so that you will have it before we vote, because if we don't have it for you, I won't bring it. Okay? So, any other questions or comments? With that, I'll take a motion to move these three to the mayor and council meeting of March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out.